Hello, family. Pastor George here, ready for another exciting episode of SET-4-LIFE. So we've been doing a series, and it's called Where the Money Resides. Well, it's actually an interview I have with Darius Daniels, and I have finally, during our pre-show, my co-host, Thomas. Give us a shout out, Thomas.
What's up, guys? So I know when you recorded that, it was probably at the beginning of the year, around February or so. Things have changed since then, or maybe not. What's different about how you would look at things now versus then? Because that was like, we felt like we're coming out of the pandemic and so on. What's different now?
Right. That's actually the problem is actually nothing has changed. Very little has changed. So one of the things is that I'm just talking about me just personally, is that you guys remember at the very beginning of the pandemic, just give me a shout out in the chat if you remember, wasn't supposed to last like 3 weeks. Everybody's going to wear a mask and it was just going to end. That wasn't the case. Then we told people to, hey, saving, have an emergency fund and different things like this. Then we said, hey, let's just set up a plan. But I think right now we need to look at like if this, they're waiting for everything to go back to normal. Like, hey, let's just look and have a plan to where you can thrive in any economy.
Exactly.
And I brought that, we talk about that, but we got to really, really, really emphasize that now.
Yeah. Imagine if this is the normal.
Right. Well, you got to figure out, like, in other words, like, let's look at just in general. Number one, you need to have an income plan, right? How are you going to get income? How are you going to do that? Then you need to have a debt plan. That's right, everybody. Do good. Get out of debt. As you know, we've done whole series on that and everything. You guys will let you know about our playlist at the end. Then you want to have an investment plan, like how you're going to invest money, because you guys saw how the markets, what happened last year, the markets going down, and then now they're still going up. So everything that I said, I still believe it. And I think it's still relevant and everything like that. It's just that it was just interesting having that talk about that. And then also you want to have an estate plan because you want to build generational wealth and you want to pass the wealth on in doing that. So I just think it's just very helpful that you have a plan in all the areas in doing that. And it's interesting when you sit down and you look at that, like, how are you going to do that? How are you going to have a plan for that? So we walk through that in those areas. And then also just want to bring up also, Thomas, that we have a playlist where we have all of our shows. So I want to pull up a few of them and then I'm going to ask you a few questions about which ones you liked and everything. So, everyone, we have a playlist of shows that you can look at. And then also remember, we're always praying for you. So if you have a special area that you would like prayer in, we'd be more than happy to pray for you in those areas. So if you go to a website, georgebthompson.com, by the way, you can always sign up to get on our email list so we can know about the different areas. So Thomas, what are some of the shows that you had liked in the past that we had?
Look at that one that's right in the front, Crypto Conversations.
Yes.
I actually, I knew about cryptocurrency, but I didn't some of the details and intricacies of like how it works and like why people are so excited about it. So that episode's really good for that. The one about—
I want to say one thing about that. That was done with a guy, Dan Rapole. He is a guy, when I got to stop leading with saying he's a trader. He's someone who was an investor or traded on stock exchanges back when I worked at those firms to do that. So you see the conviction, the knowledge, the research and everything like that. And he will be back. All right. And then we'll be going over a new format that we'll be doing in these areas. And Thomas, you're doing so good. I thought you were going to say the ones you did, but we'll hit some of those just in a second.
Yeah, no, I also like the self-care one because I think especially where we are right now in terms of the things people are dealing with that they've never had to deal with that are so intense in terms of things like deciding, all the different school districts are different about how kids are going to go back. People's jobs are like, some people are going back, some people are not. All of that stuff can put a lot of strain on you, and it's important to have that self-care piece handled. So that video, self-care in the midst of a pandemic, is a really good one as well.
Right. Also, by the way, just so you know, Thomas was being so nice. He didn't say it, but I thought he was. I threw him an alley-oop. We do ones on kids and investing. That one was with Thomas. So I don't know why I thought he was going to say that. So anyway, so we've done several ones. Please check those out. By the way, but let's look at what we're going to do right now. My interview where I was interviewed by Darius Daniels. Let's start the show.
You're listening to the Darius Daniels Podcast.
Here's the thing. So when people kind of find their niche, the thing that they can do to kind of create income or maybe a little extra, talk to us about what are some of the things we can do with the stream when it actually comes in. I mean, unless somebody might say, George, I got an extra $1,000.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, what can I do with this?
So one of the things that we do is remember we talked earlier about spending control.
Mm-hmm.
So when you make money, one of the first things you want to do is that we have a certain amount that we're going to save for an emergency, but then also we're going to start investing it. So then we're going to start putting it into, typically we have a retirement account. There's something called a 401k if it's a for-profit company, 403b if it's a nonprofit. If you haven't heard of any of those, there's something called the IRA, which is a retirement account. And start planning for your retirement. And then also just a regular brokerage account, start investing. And this is the key. If you said $1,000 a month, that means put in monthly. So just so you guys know, if you don't follow the markets, stock market, real estate market, bond market, it goes up and down every day. So what happens is there are times when the market goes lower. You said gyms. I just want to let everybody know, here comes a gym. It's coming. Here comes a fast pitch. This is a gym. It's coming. All you have to do is catch it. So what happens is the market goes up and down all the time. It goes up and then it goes down. Then there'll be certain things will happen. So what will happen is when the market goes down, what do you think we do? Do we buy? Do we keep what we have, or do we sell when the market goes down? Well, I'll just give you a little hint. Here comes a gem. Buy low, sell high.
Good.
So actually when the markets go down and we own high quality companies and different things, that's actually when we take the time to invest. So what we do is people say, George, when's a good time? You haven't asked me this, but when's a good time to invest? All the time. If you're buying quality and you're doing it, that's why when I was very specific portfolio, and then you want to have that, but then you want to continue to be able to invest. And then that's how you do it. Then I got to throw in one more thing since we're giving out gems.
And George,
today.
that's 1,000% true. I got burned like that recently. I jumped on one of the vaccine companies too late. I jumped on board too late. I had to jump off too.
Right. So can I give you another thing? And then have a strategy. You see, like the vaccine is this. So there's something else. Gosh, I'm giving the gems are just coming down. Also, there's something called diversification. So like if you're going to do so let's look at healthcare. Instead of trying to guess one company, which can be very difficult because all the people try, is one of the things we did in ours, and I have a call where I do this, is break it into parts. Just like how you did words, break it into parts. So if you look at it for even all of COVID, there's something called testing, right? There's companies that do testing, the Abbott Lab, different companies that do testing. Good. Then there's something called treatment. You know what I mean? Like Remdesivir or Regeneron. Yes. So then there's treatment. That means they're going to shorten the time that someone is in there and doing this. Yeah. Okay. And then there's the cure, right? Those are vaccines, right? You already saw the Pfizer, Moderna, the Johnson, different companies. And there's over 200 companies that are trying to do certain things. So what you want to do is instead of trying to pick one, you know what? Get them all and diversify.
Great.
And then have a very specific strategy. And then one other strategy, one more I got to give you is that, see, we're all focused on COVID. What you need to focus on is that they're actually everyone's health. If someone has diabetes, they're also taking their medication. Let me speak on behalf of Black women here for a minute. If they have, this is what I found out, if their husband or whatever, the first thing they do is get down in the morning and they go out and they say this, hey, take these, make sure you take your medicine. I want to brunch, I want this. No, take your medicine. And then, ladies, you can let me know why that's the case, but they say, because they don't want to, well, at least my wife, they don't want to go down to the hospital. So they're having people, so taking all their medication. So just don't focus on COVID. I mean, what you do is you focus on all medication, all healthcare, and doing that. So so what do we learn today? diversification.
Yes.
And we learn how to dollar cost average put in monthly. But that's actually how you win long term.
No,
And have a strategy.
No, that's smart. And one of the things too, you mentioned it earlier in our conversation. I don't know if people caught it because this is something that I saw. Well, one, you taught it years ago, but it's also in Millionaires in the Making. And that book is at least 15 years old, huh?
Yes.
Maybe older than, incredible.
Yeah.
But in that book, you kind of talk about practical ways to actually select a stock. You know, it's just common sense, foolproof ways so that when you're making a decision like that you don't have a zeal that's not according to knowledge, that, you know, and you put it in layman's terms so a person doesn't have to be, not saying that you don't need one, I think people do, but a person doesn't have to be a financial advisor to make wise decisions about how they're going to make some investment. And
that's a great example. And you know, new book, I'm trying to do no plug, but I'm saying the wealth cycle came out a couple years ago. But hey, you said build a wealth machine, so I'm just talking about that, right?
Yeah.
But it's part of Ready, Set, Grow series. But see, this is my whole thing. Is that a lot of people came in during the pandemic. And you remember I said the different levels, struggling, sinking, steady, solid, surplus. Mm-hmm. Then what happens is some people went down a level. Mm-hmm. And some people may go down 2 levels if this keeps going. Mm-hmm. So what you can do is actually, but this is another thing I'm going to say. There's a lot of people we have clients that went the other way and have gone up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look at it right now. During this pandemic, what companies were going to do really, really well? Mm-hmm. Like, everybody was using Clorox and all the different things. I was doing a call one day and I said, you know what? I'm going to open up a cleaning company and just make it Clorox cleans for when people go back to school or when they're open back up. Restaurants, they all have it. And then there's a company, I think it's Serpo, as if it never happened. They went out and started certifying places as being clean. Mm-hmm. So I said, hey, we're going to open up a business doing this. And my wife walked by while I was doing it. And then she said, George, you can't, based on your history here in this house, you can't open up a cleaning company.
Yeah.
I was like, just based on that. I said, hey, honey, I was just going to be the supervisor.
Well, you know what, George, I think that's a great segue to something.
But look at the opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's a great segue to something else because, I mean, even though we've been talking about diversification in the context of like investing in the market, when you look at what you teach comprehensively and what you model in your own life, there's diversification in terms of the types of things you actually invest in. You invest in more than the market, you invest in real estate, et cetera. But I want to pivot in. I wanted to highlight that because I don't want people to think that we're just simply pointing to the market. However, there is something else that I feel like I want to hit a little bit and we can wrap up. And it's this. You mentioned it before. Hey, I thought about starting this company. I've started this company before. So I know you're an entrepreneur. I know you worked for a while, a very reputable and large financial firm, and you left and you started your own. And so I really feel like that's, I don't know, I'm not gonna say it's a cultural trend. I'm glad it's becoming more of a cultural trend. That people are thinking entrepreneurially, et cetera. But let's just talk a little bit about that, right? Business building, entrepreneurship, and strategies, right? That people can use to actually create more wealth through companies. I remember like this wasn't actually too long ago. This might've been like, well, I guess it was long ago. I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago. You were like, all right, Darius, you need to think right now like Darius Inc. You said Darius Daniels no longer exists. You need to think and run your life and run everything like Darius Inc. So I know that's a huge part for you of your financial philosophy, business building also. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Right. And if you don't look at the way healthcare is going to be provided, look how tax code is changing, that you also want to do that. And Darius, man, you listen to everything I say.
I listen.
Awesome. I know, but I'm impressed. But everybody just shout out your name and then Inc. Everyone listening, just shout out your name and Inc. That's actually what you want to do, and that's actually what you want to start thinking like you're a company. Now, first of all, I used to tell people all the time, you're the greatest employee. There's no chance you'll get laid off, anything like that. But this is a pandemic now. Everybody done found out it's God. That you're supplied, that you may be working and you may not be working and doing that. So you want to do that. So the first thing is about entrepreneurship is wherever you work, don't quit right off the bat when you get the idea. Stay there. I stayed at that very large financial institution. And just so you know,
We make money the old-fashioned way as well. Their statements, so in case you want to remember that. All right. So, but I stayed there for 10 years to the day. I collected all the stock options. When I go and search, like if your company offers stock, get as much as you can. Mm-hmm. If I ever go to Starbucks, get a drink, I say that to them, buy the stock. Like my wife used to work. I tell them to buy, because that may be your seed. That may be your seed money.
Good.
Coming back and doing that. Because there's certain ways, and we can go through seasons of this, but that'll be in a whole nother topic in a different day.
Yeah.
But I'm saying this today. So first of all, work there, learn everything. I used to go, one time they had lunch served and they were showing how to run operations. And I was a financial advisor. I sat in a meeting and the lady goes like this, "Oh, you're here because it's free lunch?" I said, I laughed, said, "Yeah, that's fine." I sat right in the back of the room and wrote down everything because I said, one day I'm going to have to hire an operations manager. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to learn how to do it. Mm-hmm. So when you're in an organization, don't just focus on your job, learn the other jobs because you're going to learn how to do them. Mm-hmm. And so you walk through them. One last nuggets, and then we'll do this. Everybody hold up 4 fingers. When you run a business or entrepreneur, these are the 4 areas you have to learn how to run, and you'll have a successful business. If you run 3 of them, you'll do pretty good. If you do 2 of them, you'll just do average. That'll be a struggle. Mm-hmm. 1, you'll be a well-kept secret. Number 1, and these will be all VPs that you'd hire first. Number 1, you have to have a marketing plan, so you're not a well-kept secret.
Facts.
The second thing that you have to have is operations, how you do it. Out here in California, they have something called In and Out. Those places are lines, get there in and out. Second,
I think In and Out is overrated, by the way. So I'm sorry. Don't fight me.
No problem.
I'm just
no problem. And people fighting this one. You hear what they said about voting? They said that Chick-fil-A should have done the vaccine and the voting, and everybody would have voted and have been the vaccine.
Right. I know.
So we'll see people like that. Right. But but I'm saying whether you like them or not, their operations. I'll go a step further with you. McDonald's doesn't sell food. They sell convenience.
Yeah.
I'm talking about operations. You can go back and forth, but look at their stock price. Look at how long they've lasted. You can say, out here in LA, you can say, I like TAM number 4, but that's just around here.
Yeah.
Okay. So first is you want to have marketing. The second thing that you want to have is how you do the operation, how you make it do what it do. The third thing you want to have is new products and services. I'm just going to say it twice, new products and services. You look at companies, I'm just thinking of the Starbucks, Apple, different companies. They come up with new products all the time.
Yes.
And then the fourth is you got to have a financial dashboard. So that you got to be able to look at how well your company is doing. If you were on an island and they can only send you that once a week, you'd know how well you were doing based on that dashboard for your company.
And George, listen,
entrepreneurship.
This right here, this is free jewelry. It's gems. And I think what you just distinguished with those 4 characteristics is the difference between a specialist and an entrepreneur. And I think there are people who are specialists who got a certain skill set and they can do a certain thing that assume that makes me an entrepreneur. And it's like, no, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you don't have to do all of those 4 things, but you got to be able to build that team. You got to be able to oversee them, and you got to lead that team.
That's exactly. You got to find them.
Yeah, yeah. And if you can't discover, develop, and deploy that team, then it's nothing wrong with it, but it just means that a person hasn't become an entrepreneur yet. You're a specialist with a skill set, and you kind of do it for yourself.
And if you do everything, if you don't do those things, you'll only go to a certain level.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, George, this has been absolutely incredible. I mean, the gems that have been dropped have been priceless, but this is what I know. I'm incredibly confident that people are looking or listening right now and saying, okay, who is this guy? They're Googling, they're trying to figure out, how can I connect with him? How can I get some of his resources? Some people maybe wonder, how can I utilize his services? George is my financial advisor. So how can people get in contact with you?
Hey, just real simple, everybody. You guys can just go to computer, type in georgebthompson.com. Boom, there's my website. It shows all of my different, shows a lot of my information, podcasts, things of that nature. Also, ThompsonWM.com is my financial planning firm that does all things about getting involved in investing and walking down that path.
I love it. George, listen, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. Our tribe is the better because you were here today, and thank you for investing in us. And we got to have you back real soon.
Hello, family. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Darius Daniels, Where the Money Resides. I really enjoyed it. Please write in the comments if you have anything you want to delve deeper into those topics. It's a blessing. We have so many things coming forward for you for the rest of this year. And then also, we're also beginning to set up things for next year. So please let us know if there's any questions you have on these topics. And I look forward to seeing you on our next show. And also, by the way, my co-pilot Thomas coming with me all the time. All right. So you guys have a blessed day. And I look forward to the next time that our next episode.